Hello, folks. Welcome to another episode of Inside with Justin G. Cobb. I'm so excited to have you all here. I am grateful for the opportunity to meet Mahmoud. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this with those that it resonates with. Hello, everyone. This is Justin Cobb coming to you from Arlington, Virginia, US. And today we have a special guest with us coming all the way from Brazil. I want you all to meet Mahmoud Baydoun. He is a educator on sex and attraction and how it works and how to foster it and develop it. There, Mahmoud, thank you for coming on to the show today. I'm happy to have you here.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you for the invitation. I'm really very honored to be here. This is my second podcast in English language.
I love it.
Yeah, the first one was like in 2020 or 2021. Dr. Joe Court invited me for his podcast, and we talked about anal pleasure.
Oh my gosh, yes. So I love it. Go you. There's sex education for the win, and we need it. And folks, if you don't have it, please get some because the sex is beautiful, but it can also be dangerous if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Mahmoud, so let's go ahead and I want to give you this opportunity to share more about the work that you're currently doing with audiences.
Okay, so I went to undergraduate studies in psychology. Since I was a very young psychology student, I've always been interested in human sexuality and relationships. So I invested a lot of time in initiation projects, research projects regarding sexuality. And then just after I finished my undergraduate degree, I entered into a postgraduate certification program in sexology. I went for master's. I wanted to be a university professor, but for some reason, I never was able to get a job in the area, like to lecture at a university or something. I also used to see patients, but I was very frustrated by the value I used to receive because I used to see patients with health insurance and they used to like pay me $2 a session after 6 months. So I was very, very frustrated. And then, like by coincidence, Big Brother Brazil, it's the biggest reality TV program in Brazil and Latin America. They were doing a selection process in my city. I used to live in a very small city in the Western Amazon region, way far, which is considered mainstream Brazil, where all things happen, just like New York and LA in the US. So they were doing a selection there, and someone recommended my name because I was like giving an interview on the local TV, or they saw a lecture of about sexuality I was giving, and they called me and they invited me for the selection, and I thought, wow, this is a great opportunity for me to like save myself because I've already studied so much and did all what my mother said to do. That if you study and you get a degree, you're gonna be rich or something like that. You're gonna feel. So I said, wow, this is my opportunity. So I went to the selection and I passed. I got accepted in the program. I didn't win the program. I went out in the middle of the program, but it gave me like the push I needed. So after the program, I didn't earn a lot of money in the program. Actually, I earned like $2,000 in the quizzes there. Yeah. I started creating content for YouTube and Instagram about sex education. Uh, but I came from the academic world. So I used to be a very serious person and to think that I was followed by a lot of cisgendered women who wanted to like learn techniques and learn stuff to rekindle their relationships. Like I would open my direct messages and Instagram, and there was some woman teaching. Oh my God, it's my dream to have anal sex. Can you teach me? Oh my God, I don't know how to go down on my husband. Can you teach me? And then. Patients would seek me not because they had some sexual dysfunction. I remember the first time a patient sought me, it was because her husband had a very big instrument. Can I say dick in the podcast?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So her husband had a very big dick, and she wanted to go down on him, and it didn't fit in her mouth, and she wanted me to help her with that. And I started seeing that like people want stuff about pleasure, sexual pleasure, and they want it easy going, and they want it very practical. They don't want to like spend 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, or months in therapy. They want to learn things that are practical, straight to the point, and in a funny way. And this is how I invented like a character on Instagram where I would offer pleasure based online sex education. I created free content for almost 2 years, 2 consecutive years. And then I launched ebooks and on demand courses with naked models, teaching stuff or techniques to rekindle their relationships. Like I have a course that teaches oral sex on naked models. I have another one that teaches tantra and how to massage a penis and a vulva on naked models. Besides the ebooks, and so far I have more than like 500,000 students, both on the ebooks and the courses with the naked models. And now I'm gonna like achieve my own dream, which is teaching like in a university or in a certification program. So next year I'm launching my own post-graduation certification program in human sexuality so that I can help other professionals who want to specialize in the area. Did I speak too much? I'm
No,
sorry.
you're good. That's awesome. First, congratulations.
Thank you.
You've developed this following, but even more important than the following is the fact that you are providing insights and services into something that is so hard to talk about for many folks across
Yes.
the globe. And a lot of it is entrenched in culture, a lot of it is entrenched in the religion, which oftentimes is wrapped up in culture, and then just the plain awkwardness that can be surrounding these topics if we don't destigmatize them is
Yeah.
so key. Mahmoud, I'm curious. Let's go ahead and time travel, shall we?
Yeah.
Because like no one just wakes up and says, "Oh, hey, I'm going to become a sex therapist."
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a very interesting story, and it's actually the story I told when I was in the selection to Big Brother. I was born in Brazil
Mhm.
because my parents they fled the war in Lebanon. In the civil, there was a very big civil war in Lebanon between 1975 and 1990. My grandfather from my mother's side already lived in Brazil, in the Amazon region, in a city called Manaus. But when the war started, my grandmother from the father's side, she decided she didn't want her children, her sons especially, to go on the streets and participate with the militias. You know, there were those militias and gangs from each religious sect, and they would like kill each other. And she didn't want them to lose their lives on the street. So she had a brother who also lived in the Amazon region in Brazil. They were related. And she decided to send all her sons there. So they migrated to the Amazon region in Manaus. And the interesting thing is that both my father and my grandfather, from my mother's side, like my maternal grandfather and my father, they both owned strip nightclubs.
Mm.
Okay, so they had a bar where they would hire women to dance, to do sensual dances, and they would earn money from the drinks. I like to say they were puteiro owners. Puteiro is the word in Portuguese for brothel. Brothel.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So I was born in Manaus in the Amazon region, and when I was 6 years old, my mother and I moved back to Lebanon. And I grew up in Lebanon with my very strict Shiite Muslim grandmother, like my grandmother, my father's mother, who had a strip night in Brazil, was a very religious woman. uh, she used like to wake up every day and like pray all the five um, obligatory prayers of a Muslim woman. She used to fast. Then when I grew up, she wanted me to pray too. And I grew up in Lebanon. And when I decided to come back to Brazil, I had a cultural shock a little bit, and I went directly to my to my father's strip night. So, like from being with, growing up with my very Muslim and religious grandmother, I was in a brothel where women would dance naked, and where on every Thursday there was a live sex session that a woman would go on stage, and the man that can ejaculate would win a whiskey bottle. And I used to watch all of this. I'm just like reporting that as a story, as the part of my life. It's not to say like, oh, I'm proud of this, like my grandfather and father used to own brothels. No, but it's part of my story. And I think if I were if it weren't for the time I spent there, it wouldn't have instigated my curiosity to learn about sex, because that's how I started feeling curious. Wow, I want to learn more about sex. As I was talking to a how do I say, to a sex worker that worked there, and I was curious to know how much she earned for a session for an hour with her, and she said, "Look, Mahmoud, I it's 150 reals for a simple program and 200 reals for a complete program." And I asked her, "What is simple and complete?" And she said, "With a simple program, I only do vaginal sex. And in a complete program, I do vaginal and anal sex." And then I was like curious, why is it more expensive to do anal sex if like everyone has an anus and only half the people have a vagina? It should be more expensive to have vaginal sex than anal sex. Do you get what I mean?
Yes, yes. So a
There's
lot of
like the
it,
offer
you're
and
just
demand part.
yeah, you're like, wait, where's the logic in any of this? Okay.
Yes, exactly. And I was like, I already knew I'm gay, so there's no friendship better than a friendship between a gay guy and a sex worker. Yeah, so I got friends with the woman that worked at the brothel, and I started listening to their stories, the sad ones and the good ones. And this instigated, like before going to inside there, I would have an idea that only women who need money work as sex workers. So it's like they're forced by capitalism to work as sex workers. But they were actually, some of them really enjoyed the job. And I remember Bruna, a very nice sex worker who used to work there. She would arrive at the club, hitting on the bar and saying, "Oh my God, I want to come today, but I want to come with $100 on each hand."
Mm. Oh wow.
And yes, and so I started doing researching the stuff about sexuality. I started buying books about sexuality. I started attending congresses, national ones in sexuality, first regionally, then nationally, then internationally. And when I graduated, I already had a big CV with their presentations and some papers published regarding sexuality, and I entered to the certification program. So this is how I decided to become a sexologist.
Oh my goodness. So much to unpack here, but I'm gonna just pause for a moment to let audiences like really, because this is an international audience and people,
Yeah,
especially given their cultural context, may be like, "Whoa, wait."
yeah,
Hello, folks. Real quick. So I know you all are enjoying this content and it means the world to you. And I wanted to share that there is a way that you could support my work. There, if you subscribe to my Substack, you not only are contributing to Insight with Justin G. Cobb, but you are also getting a behind the scenes access into what it is that I'm doing, what I am building as a creator. You get to be a part of the conversation and you get access to special features such as live Q&As and strategy sessions where I sit down with you to discuss and coach you on how you can best show up and make a difference, not only in this life, but where you're at in this moment. Trust me, I get it. There's a lot of confusion and noise going on out here. We're going to be cutting through that and pinpoint where you can make the most impact in your community. Details in the about of this episode. Be sure to check it out. Yeah, but
yeah.
for so let's go ahead and unpack this a little more, shall we? Because you're talking
Yes,
about how people, they like, you're growing up with people who have various reasons why they're getting into sex work. And it's because of you learning about these people and their stories that you yourself become a sexologist, which is the study of sex and how
yes.
that could be used to essentially foster and develop relationships. There, what were some of the challenges that you were experiencing learning and growing into this field?
World where people associate sex to a negative thing. So, like, people would look at us, sexuality professionals, whether sex workers or sexologists or sex therapists or sex educators or cam girls, and they would look at us as someone with no value, as someone that is not honest. And I think it has to do a lot with Christian morality, because Christian morality is the morality that still pervades the West. In the Middle East, it's more like the Muslim morality. So, Christian morality, if you only have sex inside a marriage or after getting married and you are like someone who is discreet, then you are a good person. You are an honest person. But if you talk publicly about sex and you express your sexual desires and you live your sexuality in a very expressive way and in a very free way, some people would still point at you and say, he doesn't have any value. And this is because of sex negativity. So when you are a sex worker or a sexuality professional and people know that, and you express, for example, your political opinion or your opinion about something that is from of public interest that might create friction, they would immediately look at you and say, "Oh, just go there and teach people how to do anal sex because this is your job. Oh, you are better having filming porn because if you are a porn star, you're also a sex professional, and people will judge you similarly." So it's there in the sex negativity, in how they associate us to something negative, as if we are teaching something deviant. And this is why a lot of sexuality educators and sexuality professionals, they face prejudice on social media. They get their accounts deleted, they get their accounts reported.
Mhm.
And it's just part of human existence. Like, if it weren't for sex, neither me, neither you would have been doing this podcast. Because no one is like bought in the supermarket like a cauliflower.
And this is like something that in your answer that I wanted to touch base on as well, if we can, because you talk about how there are people who are involved in sex work for various reasons, and some
Yes.
of it is out of force, and some of it is out of their own volition. There, for audiences who may not quite grasp this, can we unpack the nuances? Because I want people to reiterate there's a difference between
Yeah.
sex
Like
work
a lot
and
of people, they criticize sex work because they say, "Wow, they're selling their bodies for capitalism and because they need money." But actually, all of us, we sell our bodies and time. We are all victims of the capitalist system. So if you if you criticize sex work based on this paradigm, you are being moralistic and sex negative because you don't criticize the other professions. Okay, so I can't speak for the sex workers because I'm not a sex worker, but I believe it is a profession just like any other profession that needs to be respected. It needs to be regularized. Uh, People who work in this domain, they deserve respect, the same respect that people of other professions deserve. You get what I mean? There are several reasons to take someone to work in a specific field. I think it's very minimalistic and it's very like simplistic to say, "Oh, they are just working because it's easy money." It's not easy money, man. It's not easy to maybe have sex or even grow relationships with someone you don't desire just as a profession. Not everyone is able to do that. It's not an easy profession. Or, oh my god, it's the easy way. Like, not everyone has the ability or the capacity or the will to study for years and have a degree. And there are even a lot of sex workers that have degrees. So I think that it should be looked in a more complex and a more profound way, because people are different. People have different motives to do certain things. So yeah, that's my opinion about it.
yeah. Yeah, and everyone has different circumstances too. They're the ones who we talk about when we, and a lot of people may think of in regards to this work. There's like the ones who are forced into it. They're bought and
Yeah,
sold on the market. Usually they have someone who peddles them out. And that's something that we definitely need to stop and really question. But then there's also the ones who are doing this of their own volition. They have their own business. They have their own book of clients. They manage it according.
they have their own website.
And it's consensual too. Like it's by their own consent.
Yeah,
And that is something that we definitely need to hone in on as well. And this is consent is a huge thing. This is why we and the sex educators and everyone and human rights activists always push the level
and
of consent.
there are, in sex therapy nowadays, there's something called surrogate sex therapists, where there are some professionals that they would be like a surrogate for a partner. So someone would hire them. It's not the psychosexual therapist. It's another therapist, because we psychosexual therapists, we cannot interact physically with our clients. But in surrogate sex therapy, the individual or the person who is the professional, he or she or they would like replace the partner in a session there, so that the patient or the client can practice some skills. So sometimes they kiss, they hug each other, sometimes they can have sex, but in a therapeutic for a therapeutic reason. It's called surrogate sex therapy.
Mhm. Wow. And this is like something that I feel like audiences, those of you tuning in, we should definitely want to like appreciate this for what it is, because sex itself has been used to control people for millennia. We literally, the reason why we have so many issues in regards to LGBTQ rights, women's rights, are because that sex was used as a weapon against these groups for generations. And Mahmoud, if we can, I'm just curious. Can you tell me more about what it is like being an advocate in Brazil and any nuances that you may have picked up on? Because Brazil itself is has a very complicated legacy still to this day in regards to sex and sex education. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, a lot of people from abroad think like Brazil is the capital of pleasure. It's wow, everyone is having sex with each other, but it's not actually like that. We have a lot of people have sexual difficulties. There is a rising wave of conservatism here, uh, because it is a country, a very Christian country too. Although many people aren't very religious, if there is a Judeo-Christian status quo, if we
Mhm.
can say in more complicated terms. So, like women, they still hear stuff like they should close their legs, they should wait till marriage, they should. A woman of value just has sex with her husband. She needs to close her legs before marriage. So those are words a lot of people and a lot of my female friends that are contemporary had heard those terms. So what differentiates Brazil as a Latin American country, I think, is that people are very open to talk about sex.
Mhm.
They are very curious, they want to know more, but it's like they're very open to talk about sex when it's a little bit humoristic. Okay, it's not like those deep discussions to dismantle the patriarchy. um so people are very open to learn more, to improve, but they look for stuff to feel more desired, because here in Brazil, to be desired is something everyone wants. Like, we can have no money, baby, but we are in the salon, in the hairdresser every week to make do our nails, our hair. People go a lot to the gym. I would say a lot more than other countries. There's a wave of use of anabolisms.
Mhm. Mm.
Okay, which is not healthy, I know, but it's all goes down to the issue of being desired.
Mhm.
Okay, and for the same reason, sex education in the country is going to focus on that, on how to be more desired. It's not the most appropriate type of sex education, but it's what people seek. So you have to give people what they want in order to be able to teach them what they need. Because if you insist on them to teach them what they need, but it's not what they won't even seek you. They will go to another person, which may not be the best sexologist or the best professional, so that they get what they need. Do you
Mhm.
get what I mean?
Yes.
So the trick I use is teach the people what they want and also what they need. Like, give the people no, sorry, I'm going to repeat that. Give the people what they want so that you can teach them what they need.
Mm.
So I know, like, women need a lot of, they need like an encouragement to feel more pleasure in bed and to focus on their orgasms. But a lot of women who seek me on social media, they just want a tip oh my God, I want my husband to come in my mouth. I want to be able to make him come in my mouth.
Mhm.
Okay. Then other people, other sexologists would say, oh no, you should care more about your own pleasure. This is very sexist. You are only worrying about your man's pleasure. I don't do that. I teach her what she wants. But then in my books and my courses, there would be also something for her pleasure, which I believe as a sexologist she needs to. Do you get what I mean?
Yes, and it also goes back to what when we talk about pleasure, pleasure in that of itself is a huge topic because sometimes even the fact that you gave someone else pleasure is enough to satisfy someone.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to at the end of the day, doesn't it? In regards to this work, is really understanding yourself, but also what keeps you like what keep essentially what I'm trying to say keeps you like satisfied, but also proud and confident in your own abilities in regards to your performance, whether
Exactly.
in the bedroom, etc., etc.
And then it goes back to the issue of like being desired, because oh, if I'm able to make my partner come, this means I'm good in bed, and this means I am desired.
Mhm.
Okay, which I struggled a lot to like go into this, because I came from a very academic background, and I learned like each person has his own and unique sexual pleasure. You cannot teach how to do a good blowjob. You cannot teach how to do but if you don't do this, people would like flee. You should give what people want. This is like what I learned from being a pleasure-based sex educator in Brazil. Give people what they want.
Mhm.
If they ask you, wow, I want to be fisted, teach me how to be fisted. Teach them how to be fisted.
Mhm. Do it in a way where people won't get hurt in the process.
Of course, yeah. But it's I call that practical sexology.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, there, Mahmoud, I'm curious. You touched on this a little bit when you mentioned that in terms of your work, a lot of it is first you gotta address what people want. But what other lessons have you learned from this work that you're doing?
Uh, besides like giving people what they want, I think using simple language, being accessible. Accessibility is very important. Like sometimes when I was in my 20s, like 10 years ago, when I still had whew, I used to, like I was very young, I used to buy a lot of self-help sex book, like Kama Sutra for gay guys. More accessible you make the content, the better. I used to um, I used to struggle a lot because I didn't have patience after I graduated. And the patients I had sometimes didn't have enough money to pay a very good price in the session. And I realized that most sex therapy methods and psychotherapy methods were created in North America and in Europe in a society very different from the Brazilian society. And when I go to congresses, sexual medicine or sex therapy congresses, and they present the treatment algorithms or the best treatment interventions for certain sexual difficulties, and then they say that the multidisciplinarity is the best option, and the person has to see a urologist and a physical therapist and a psychologist and da da da. And I see, wow, that's beautiful in theory. But in practice, most Brazilian people earn $200 a month as a salary, and they still have children, and they have rent to pay, and they have to eat. How on earth would someone who earns $200 a month pay for sex therapy, weekly sex therapy, or weekly any therapy? It's impossible. They can't even make ends meet. So a lot of people is very critical to online content and online based sex education, but it's a chance to make what we learn accessible to those people. You get what I mean? Because those people would never be able to afford sex therapy. There are some public and free sexuality clinics in Brazil, but it's like in 2 or 3 states. So I think one of the things I learned is that when you make stuff that are accessible to people, people would consume it. Because a lot of my colleagues would say, "Oh my God, she doesn't want to pay people. She doesn't want to pay therapy, but she was like drinking a beer on Friday. I saw her there. Like." it's very different. You cannot make this comparison, and you cannot make programs and interventions without looking at the society that surrounds you. Like, I
Mhm.
believe those treatments are amazing, but not everyone is like Queen Elizabeth's grandson.
Mhm.
You get what I
Right.
mean?
Yes. And it really does speak to the greater conversation of you talk about accessibility. And when people hear accessibility, automatically think, at least maybe from a global north perspective, our definition of accessibility is typically associated with people with disabilities.
Yeah, here too. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's
But
it's like economical, geographical accessibility, because Brazil is a huge country. When I was like studying as a sexologist, the course was in São Paulo, and I used to live in the Western Amazons, and I had to take an 8-hour plane every month, and the ticket of the plane was more expensive than the than the tuition. You get what I mean? It was
yes.
horrible. So when I say accessibility, it's geographical accessibility, linguistic accessibility, and financial accessibility. So my courses range from $5 to $20, because then everyone can pay it.
Because you got these tattoos on your arms. There, what are the stories behind these tattoos?
Oh, okay. So first of all, I have the flags. Those are the before the last tattoos I did. It says Lebanese blood, Brazilian spirit. Cause I'm both. I'm Lebanese, Brazilian. I also sometimes I felt out of place, like Edward Said said in his book, "Out of Place." So when I'm in Lebanon, I feel Brazilian, and when I'm in Brazil, I feel more Lebanese. And since I'm very ethnically Lebanese, because my both parents are Lebanese, I even did a DNA test. Uh, the ancestral one, right? I'm from all over the Middle East region. So ethnically and racially, I look Lebanese, and I have an Arab name. So this makes people sometimes deny my Brazilness,
Mhm.
and since I'm white, um, here in Brazil, I am treated like I have white skin. So in Brazil, I am treated like white, like the European whites, and I
Mhm.
feel like my Lebanese-ness is denied, because I didn't come from Europe to colonize Brazil. I came. My parents came fleeing the world, the war. So. I did the two flags as a reminder of my identities, and that I'm both, and that no one can deny one of them,
Mm.
because I'm both.
Own your story, folks. Own your story. And don't be ashamed of all these little pieces that make a part of who you are. It's what makes you unique and special. I love it.
And the Brazilian one is very special because we had Bolsonaro as a president. He's extreme right maniac, and he took the the Brazilian flag for him. And there was a period of time, like for 3 years, that I started hating the Brazilian flag because of what he did. So it was also a way to get my flag, my country's flag, back to me, and like we say, make peace with it.
Mhm. Yes.
Yes. And I have this here. This
Mhm.
is a deer. Okay, so the word deer for in Brazilian Portuguese is viado.
Mhm.
Viado is also the slang they use to make fun of gay men. It's like
Mm.
faggot, or yeah. So I did it. I did a tattoo here of a viado, and here it's POC is written POC, which is also another slang for gay men, effeminate gay men, like
Mm.
oh fag or something, or queer, or I don't want to mention the words here. This is sex for my profession. Okay, I did it when Instagram deleted my account for 8 months, and I lost a lot of money, and I got very depressed. And it was because of their censorship on sexuality. So I tattooed it on my body because my body is free, and it's like a manifesto.
Mm.
And this one is puta. Puta is the word bitch in Portuguese, and it comes from a minor Greek or Roman goddess called Puta.
Mhm.
And the word puta comes from this. So her sacerdotizes, she had
Mhm.
sacerdotizes who used to do orgies and get money to honor her.
Mm.
And I read this story. I don't know if this story is true because I read it on Wikipedia. Yes. But I like the story. I liked how the word puta comes from a minor Greek goddess. I'd never heard of it. And my first course, online course, was called Como se puta na cama, which is how to be a bitch in bed. And it's like to say that being a puta is not something bad, as the society says. It's something good. Like, you need to feel proud of it. Because, like, if someone says bitch or puta, it means you are a sexual free person. It doesn't mean you are someone bad. It's not a curse word. Like, it's like a protest against using puta as a curse word to curse someone, while it is something that should be used to praise someone. You get what I
Mhm.
mean?
Right.
Like,
It's
I would,
almost take
yeah,
pride in
if they say
it.
I'm puta or gay, it's something I need to. It's not something bad to be used as a curse word. You could say, "Oh, I hope you get stuck in a very crowded bus at 6 p.m." That's something bad. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Right. So it's basically a pushback against the shaming of femininity and the feminine and everything. I love it. Yeah.
Exactly.
There, thank you for sharing the stories with that, because it gives us a little bit more about who you are. And on top of that, you actually just opened up a door for me to ask another question, because going back to the sex tattoo, you mentioned that you were going through a bout of depression, and it was from the sounds of it, it was a hard trial there. Let's just unpack that for a little bit. To tell me more about that trial you endured when your account was
Yeah.
banned.
So basically, I started, since my work is very focused on pleasure, and I use a language that is the common language Brazilians use in the streets, so anyone can understand what I'm saying. Uh, and I used to use a lot of dildos and skin-like pepecas, pussies, to teach the stuff on that. And a lot of time, my account was reported, and then one day they deleted the whole account, and I couldn't recover it. It took me 6 months to recover it. But then I lost the engagement. I had a company with 15 employees, and I didn't know how I was going to pay them because most of the money came from this account. And I was a little bit addicted to the interaction I had there. And it was like, whoa, it was like destroying my castle. And I got very, very depressed, like very, very, very bad. And I had a reserve account, and there was a time they also deleted my reserve account. So it was like, oh my god, I worked all these years to have this community, and now it's gone in a whim. And then I recovered it. I paid a hacker to do that. Yeah, because I have my own means. Yeah, I paid a hacker, man.
Oh my gosh. So you paid a hacker to get your
I
account
paid
back.
a hacker to get my Instagram account back after 6 months. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So
I tried
you
all the means, man. I tried all the means. I tried sending emails. I tried, those things people sign online.
oh, the petitions.
I
Yeah.
tried petition. I tried. I asked my other friends with millions of followers to help me. I did every single thing you can imagine. And then I paid the hacker. Yeah.
Wow. So You're literally going through these trials trying to get your account back. You have to pay a
And then
hacker.
after my account came back, I did this tattoo.
Mhm.
And I also did it because I was starting my PhD program in human sexuality at Widener, and it was also like a commemoration for because also my choice of the PhD at Widener was because I wanted to have a certificate with PhD in human sexuality. I wanted the word sex in my certificate because we have some programs here where there are researches in sexology, but there are programs in other areas. So I would like research sexuality, but I would get a PhD degree in psychology or sociology. And as a protest, like to say, wow, I am very proud of my profession. I wanted a PhD in human sexuality.
Hey, Insights, real quick. I have this amazing resource for you all. The Insight Prompt Pack 20 Prompts to Build Your Platform is now available for digital download on Gumroad. It is a carefully curated pack of 20 prompts that can be partnered with your favorite AI tools and can be used to not only clarify and share your story, but also give you some practical tools to build your time, build your schedule, and tailor this platform to the one that you need. It is available for $17. Link in the show notes. Be sure to check it out. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I, so you got the hacker to go in and reclaim your accounts, and you started your studies at Widener. And all of this is to ask, what kept you going on those hard days when it was so difficult?
That is very difficult. I'm not gonna say I was like I'm not gonna say like wow it was easy. It was very hard time because I used a lot of drugs during this time. I went on meth, and it wasn't easy. So I actually feel I try to like anesthesia, like to not feel it, you know. So I sought methods to try to take me away from reality. It wasn't easy, but what keeps me going as a sexologist is that I'm very hyper focused on this, on sex and sexuality. It's like my biggest passion in life. I love what I do, and I also receive a lot of messages from women I helped, from folks who bought my ebooks, from folks who bought my courses, thanking me for the transformation in their lives, and this keeps me going. I also see on the effect I this my work had on my family. We used to live in a very humble apartment in Porto Velho. I used to be very poor, like not very poor, but like lower middle class. Um, and my job in human sexuality enabled me to buy a decent apartment for my family, to pay a good health insurance to my mother, to travel to 56 countries, because my biggest dream is to visit all the countries in the world, to pay for my PhD in the States. Because God bless you, Americans. I don't know how you survive. Everything is expensive in the States.
Just tell
God
me about
bless you, and I
it.
send you a lot of energy.
Oh my gosh, the amount of times I've seriously considered moving out of the US, I tell you, but I digress.
Yeah, whenever I see the PhD check, oh my god, I get a heart attack because like I earn in reals, so everything is times six. So
Mhm.
if I'm paying $8,000 a semester, that may not seem a lot of money for the U.S. citizen, but for a Brazilian, it's 8 times 6. So it's as if I'm paying 48,000 for the yeah.
Oh my
So
god. My uh there I'm gonna invoke Jesus in this moment. Jesus, take the wheel. Lord, help us. Oh
So
my
yeah,
god.
what keeps me going is the effect my job had on people's lives, the people I love, I help, and also on the people I love, like my family.
Mm. Community plays such a huge role in this regard as well. I'm curious, how did your family respond when you told them, "Hey, I'm going to become a sex
No,
educator"?
my parents are very very liberal. My parents in Lebanon too. I didn't have any issues with my sexuality with my family because my family is like, oh, do whatever you want, okay, and we do whatever I want. I was raised in such an environment, despite like my grandmother being very religious. My grandfather, my mother's side of the family, they're very woo, they're very cool. Yeah. So I had my aunt sometimes was afraid, like, because, oh, I don't think you're gonna earn a lot of money or have a stable life with this profession. Why don't you study medicine? You are very intelligent. Why don't you study that or this and that? So it was basically critiques in due to financial worries.
Mhm.
My mother used to feel a little bit like embarrassed when I would like hold a dildo and go on videos. But when she started seeing the results, she now cleans my dildos. She cleans because I use them for sex education. I don't use them on me. So she said, "Oh, this dildo is a little bit dirty. Let me clean it for you." And she cleans the silicone pussies and she cleans everything because she was able to see the results of this. Yeah, so they're not ashamed anymore. And I have a lot of sex shops here in Brazil that they send me like gifts and stuff, maybe because they think I would show it on my social media. And I personally, I'm very vanilla. I don't use any. I only use love and poppers. Yeah, so they stay here, and then whenever we have someone visiting us, oh, I have some gifts for you, and she puts them in the bag and gives sex shop stuff for the people who visit us here. Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's
Yeah, they're very cool with that. Yeah, I have my
wow.
family's. How do they say? Being some blessings.
Yeah, your family. Oh, wow, your family blessed this. That's awesome. I like how you talk about this evolution where they grow to embrace it. And it's not just something that it's like, okay, that's our son, he's doing his thing. We'll let him do his thing. It's a, okay, it's a little weird, but it's giving results and it's helping our son thrive. Let's embrace that and honor it for what it is. That's so amazing. There, Mahmoud, I'm curious for those people, or even for, say, a younger self, a younger you, who is going through all your trials, all your hurdles, and sees you for who you are now, what advice would you give to your younger self?
I I think I would answer this question backwards.
Mhm.
I think my younger self should give me tips. Because my
Oh,
younger self was very determined. He was very persistent. He used to have a lot of dreams and he used to do anything he could to be able to achieve his dreams. And I remember once I got a poster accepted in Prague, and I used to live in the Western Amazons, and I didn't have money to pay for that. So I used to sell keychains and wear clown clothes for 15-year-old birthdays. And I used to do anything possible. And I used to believe in my dreams. And somehow now that my life is easier, sometimes I take some stuff for granted. You know what I mean? Sometimes I give up very fast, or say, oh, that would give me a lot of headache. I don't need that. So I would love to get some of the persistence and some of the determination of my old self back.
I love that. There you go, folks. This is a teachable moment where youth can give us as much wisdom as the older generations. So
Yeah,
key.
and I also believe, Justin, as we get old, the illusions they go
Mhm.
away. Like I'm almost 35. I'll be 35 next year, and there are certain stuff like I had more passion when I was in my 20s because I used to believe more in certain stuff like a love relationship or the possibility of a better world. Now I'm more realistic,
Mhm.
but I need some of the fantasy world back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think it drives us to continue. When you are very, very realistic, it misses the temper.
Yeah. It's like the magic is
Yeah, is
gone.
it temper? Temper. No, the season.
Yeah,
The
the
seasoning.
season.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the flavor, the
The
season, the
flavor, yeah.
flavor. And I also like to tell folks as well, like believing in your power and believing in your gifts is the greatest thing that you can do, not only for yourself, but to be in service of others. Because when you can see your own potential and you have confidence in your own abilities, there and you believe in your ability to achieve, now you are serving a greater purpose where you can provide something of value to your community, to those who are around you. Once you recognize that, everything else, like that's half the battle right there.
Exactly.
There, Mahmoud, I'm so grateful that you came on to the show today. Thank you for being on Insights. I greatly appreciate it.
Oh, I really appreciate your invitation. I'm really sad it's over too. Yeah.
It's
I was so
yes,
like excited. Yeah. But thank you very much for the opportunity. It was great chatting with you. And you can put my social media here for people to follow me. I only post in English on LinkedIn, and it's actually the social platform I'm most authentic
I love
because
it. So
I say I don't I it's my I'm posting here not because I want money. I'm just posting to share my ideas and to share my reflections. So I'm very very authentic there.
I love it. Own your authenticity, folks, and do amazing things. Use your gifts, use your talents, and don't be afraid to embrace anything that makes you look or feel quirky. That is what is going to give you your own unique perspective on everything. There, Mahmoud, thank you again for coming on to the show today.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Hey, Insights. Thank you all for tuning in and catching this interview with Mahmoud Baydoun. I am so grateful he came on to the show today to share his story. I'm so grateful that you're tuning in, and I'm going to encourage you now to give this a like, subscribe to the channel, comment, let us know what you think, and share this with people in your circle. These are the kinds of conversations that Insight is looking to activate and nourish. We're here on a mission to collectively uplift the stories at the grassroots so that way we can know where we can make a difference right where we're at now in this moment. Be sure to stay tuned. There's plenty more coming. And until then, be well.